Listener discretion is advised. This podcast may include profanity and discussion of sensitive topics. Any opinions expressed are those of the speaker and do not reflect the opinions of any other person or entity. Welcome to episode number 8 of the Real Future podcast. My name is John Nyboer. I'm a Los Angeles-based photographer of street dance culture, and I started this podcast to share the personal stories and perspectives behind the world's largest arts movement. My guest today is Saleh Simpson, aka Robozilla. I think it's safe to say that Robozilla is a dancer's dancer. He commits to character, expresses musicality, and knows how to use his size in really creative ways. If he's in a battle, everybody wants to watch, and he's entertaining as hell, so if he smokes you, you're probably going to love him anyway. Since moving to LA in the middle of the pandemic lockdowns, he's been winning battles all over California, and his reputation has really started to grow, as evidenced by his travels to Paris and Singapore. Choreographers are catching on as well, leading to recent work with Snoop Dogg and Bad Bunny. We had a wide-ranging conversation, including a story about Twitch, the meaning of animation in dance, and how growing up in a tough environment shaped his character. We've collaborated on several visuals over the years, and I've cut some of that footage into the video version of this podcast, including a really unique one at the end. Let's get into the real future with Robozilla. Welcome to the real future, Robozilla.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Yeah, you have been here before, but it's been a minute. You've been here for photo shoots and anything else?
Just for the vibes.
Just for the vibes? I don't know that you've ever just come in for the vibes, but you are welcome to. That would be great.
I mean, most times I feel like when I've been here, it's just been good vibe, so. That's
really good. That's definitely the goal. This is a workspace for me, but I want it to feel good. Mm-hmm. So, good. Thanks for the encouragement and reinforcement.
Of course.
I'm trying to think, did you come here? We met, do you remember where we met?
Where did we meet?
We met at Creatington.
Oh, yeah. That's our first meeting.
Yeah, I got some pictures of you, which I'm going to incorporate into this. But at Creatington, when you came out, I know when you weren't sure if you were moving here or not, you visited for battles.
Oh, wow.
And I remember you came to Slim's classes at Creatington.
Yeah.
And I don't think we actually talked, but I came home with my pictures and I was looking through them from that night, and I was like, oh yeah, this guy's different. good different. Well, which I think you understand.
Yeah.
And then I made sure to introduce myself next time, and then you wanted to do a photo shoot.
Yes.
And we drove around the valley and found some government building or something.
Yeah.
And did a shoot.
Oh, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember we went there and then we went to a park.
Yes, that's right. Sprinklers.
Yes.
Sprinklers came. That's right. That's right.
And at this time, we didn't even really know each other. We just kind of just went based off of the energy. And
so this is a great way to get into this. Do you find that with most of your people, your friends in the dance community, that this is how it goes? What I mean by that is you meet somebody and you might go and do something with them and but not really get to know them in a who are you, where are you from kind of way. Do you find this to be a common, because you're kind of describing this is what happened with us, which I had kind of forgotten about.
Yeah, I think honestly as artists, it's almost like we know each other to a certain extent when we meet each other, because if we're both meeting in a setting that's a dance environment, for example, and this is just my perspective on it, I feel like in this space, we all know we are movers, and if they're not movers, there's some sort of artistic mentality involved, So to that extent, I feel like we can already have a connection.
I do think this is. You said artists. Musicians are not like this. I'll tell you that straight up. There may be a mutual respect, but there's more. Either just kind of typical conversation or withdrawn, or maybe like a little bit more like competitive skepticism.
Okay, yeah.
So the reason I'm asking you this is that there's something about this nonverbal communication that dancers have that you made me think of when you said, "Oh, we went out and did this. We didn't really know each other." And you're right. And I trusted you. And more importantly, you trusted me because I was actually driving you around a city you didn't really know. Like, who is this motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't feel that way.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so on the flip side of that, have you ever gone to a session or to a jam and you see someone dance and you felt like, oh, I want to avoid that person based on their movement?
Avoiding?
Yeah, versus this like, oh, we're all artists.
Yeah.
We've made ourselves vulnerable. I can at least relate to you. We can go out to dinner even though by the time we're done, I don't know who you are. But like, yeah, have you ever had the opposite where it's like, ooh, their dance makes me want to stay away?
I think it would be more of like maybe when I was first getting into dance, the things I would hear about certain people. So not necessarily based on movement, because I love watching like everybody move and dance. But I think maybe when I first got into the scene, like the street dance community, it was more of like, oh, this person is, that's somebody that.
Oh, so you would be intimidated.
Not really intimidated. It was just kind of like the thought of like maybe how somebody I was close to felt about someone.
Okay.
Okay. So that would make me be more like, okay, maybe I won't interact with this person as much as I was going to. Maybe I just might say hi, bye type of situation. But I think most times, like, I'm the type of person that when I go into a space where there's like dancers, like, I'm going to say hey to everybody. And then I just kind of like just be in my own world, and then if somebody like comes over, talk to me, kind of how even me and you met, you know, we'll just go off of that,
Have you ever found that there's like a dancer you met for the first time, you see them dance and you think that you misinterpreted them based on their movement? Or do you like how confident are you that someone's movement can give you an authentic interpretation? You know what I mean?
That's a deep one.
I'm thinking about this right now.
Yeah, no, that's a deep question because I like how I think about everything when it comes to dance and movement. It's like we are all as authentic as we're going to be in that moment, regardless of who is our teachers, regardless of if we are copying somebody, who's to tell us like we're not authentic, like that's our feeling, that's our movement, and a lot of times I think even going into like a battle, for example, like if a judge says like, oh, like you bit that or that wasn't original or that, but it's like at some point we all had to see somebody and copy and imitate. So I never really think about people not being like their authentic self. I just think we're just existing when we are dancing, and that's why we all just kind of like love the community aspect. We all just like we're just there, and some people like get in their heads, and some people are like, oh no, this person, I seen somebody do this before, but I just think at the end of the day, we're just trying to be present.
Yeah, that is the thing that I learned when I started getting involved in this community, right?
Yeah.
It's like and I really, really appreciate that. When did you started out in Florida, right?
Yeah, so I was like born and raised Florida.
In Tampa area.
St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg.
Specifically.
Okay.
But I like kind of moved around a little bit from like St. Pete, Largo, Tampa. Yeah, but stayed in like the we say like Tampa Bay area. It's kind of like San Francisco, and they say the Bay, but there's like the surrounding areas.
Or L.A.
Yeah, or L.A.
And it's
or L.A. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like Tampa Bay area. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's your first memory of dancing in a way that made you feel like, oh, I need to do more of this?
It's actually really funny. So my dad and my mom were both dancers.
Really?
Yeah.
Like working dancers or?
I don't know working dancers, but more of like they knew how to do like street dance styles, funk styles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was so crazy. Like they just knew how to dance, when I was growing up. So I would see them kind of like just do some certain things sometimes. Like my mom, she knows how to lock. And I was like, what? Like,
well, and so where did you see this? Like
just at home, like, we would maybe have some, like a family gathering or something like that. Music's playing, and I would just see her just kind of do like, like when somebody like wants to show it, but they're like, oh no, like that was like back in my time. I used to do it back. It was kind of like that. It was like she would do like a little like lock and point, and then she would like lock in, and I would be like, wait, does my mom know how to like actually like do funk?
And then what was your dad's?
And my dad actually used to tell me that he did house. He used to tell me like he used to go to clubs and he would do like house dancing. And even now, like,
was he in Chicago or New York or something? Or
no, they're both like in Florida.
Oh, Florida, all the way.
Yeah, so it was like, I just didn't expect that, But I guess it was just normal because I just watched it growing up. I just watched them do little things.
Right, but you didn't. What do you mean you didn't expect it? I mean,
I didn't expect like with the environment that Florida is. It's so like swampy nature, and like everybody's just kind of like chilling. I didn't see any sort of like dance type things happening when I was younger.
Oh, so when you got old enough to talk to them about it, it was okay. But this is counter to my, I've never really been to Florida.
Yeah.
And like half the dope dancers I know in LA at least are from Florida. So something is going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Florida dancers, I feel like they're just a different breed. Just a different breed.
So your parents dance, did they start taking you to jams, or like how did you start yourself
like
moving?
Getting into it? Yeah.
Yeah, like what's your memory of like, you start feeling yourself and feel like, okay, I need to learn this. I need to
So
do.
My dad taught me my first ever dance move. And it was a wave.
Nice.
So I remember we were at my grandma's house. She was living in there's a city called Brandon.
Okay.
In Florida. And I think I was about like, it was from like 10 to 12.
Okay.
That age. So before I saw people kind of dance a little bit in my family, but then my dad came in the room because there was music playing, and he just started doing like a wave. And I was like, just as like a teen, I'm just like, what is this? Like, I never even thought like we could do something like that.
This is humans. Like late 90s, I guess, yeah?
Yeah. Well, I think it was, when was that? Maybe like early 2000s.
Early 2000s?
Early 2000s. And so he actually showed me how to break down a wave. Like he literally said, okay, you got to do this. 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 and you do the same thing on the other side.
And
And then I'm like, I'm like trying to get it. I don't know exactly how to do it, but I was like, I need to learn how to do this. So and no exaggeration, every day I was practicing how to do a wave.
that is amazing. Did you ever find out where he learned it, by the way?
I didn't.
Okay.
I should ask. But I think also, like in the 80s and like 90s, street dance was like super huge.
Well, yes, I remember this.
Yeah.
I remember even at my like suburban high school, people doing that, right?
Yeah.
And everybody kind of wanted to do it.
Right.
But there's a difference between like somebody breaking it down piece by piece. And then there's also, this is what I wanted to get to, like the fact that you were like, just like, I need to learn this.
Yeah.
Do you remember what was next? Or did you, no, you know what? That's not a good question. Did you, prior to this, had you seen forms of street dance on TV shows or anything like that? Like,
not that I remember.
so you really had no connection to this until Dad like walks in the living room.
Yeah, it was like,
That's amazing.
It was so interesting because, so my whole family, they're mostly musicians.
Okay.
Like I have like 6 aunts. They're all singers. And then my mom, including my mom, they all were singers. So I actually was into more music. So I was into like singing. I was a part of like a gospel choir.
Mm-hmm.
I was a part of a all county chorus. It was like,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So
like,
you can like carry harmony and
yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I did
I
not
mean,
know
maybe
this.
now, I don't know now, but like,
You could probably get it back.
yeah. So I also was a part of like band. So I played trumpet,
What?
played guitar. I was since I was in elementary school, I always loved the piano. So I was in piano classes until like high school. So I was always musically inclined.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of bred over into like the movement and dance space.
Yeah.
Even just how I interpreted the music when I didn't even know how to dance. I feel like I can just clearly hear everything, So yeah.
So what came next after waving? Like, when did you really start to take that to the rest of your body and like learn foundation and stuff like that?
Yeah. Okay, so this was a really strong memory I have. So I remember I used to just practice that wave all the time. Okay. And I think at this time I was in like middle school. So, they have like the 8th grade dance and, they got all the dances and stuff.
Yeah.
So every time a dance happened, my cousins, because we all went to the same schools, my cousins, they would be like, oh, Saleh, you have to go in. Like, you have to, like, they were always like, like that, like pushing me in. And I'll be like, no, I was like so scared to go in. But I remember one time I went in and I practiced that wave so much. I was so confident in doing it. And I remember this is when the song Yeah by Usher was like really, really popular.
Worldwide.
So that song came on and my cousins looked at me and they were like, you have to go in, you have to go in. I was like, no. And then my cousin like pulled me in. And then, that moment when you just go in and you just do it. So I just started waving and like everybody was going crazy. And I was like, that feeling, of just like everybody loving to watch that.
Yeah.
I think that was my first ever like really, really good feeling with the movement, with the dance. So I think from there, that's when mentally I just wanted to start learning new things, But, of course I wasn't taking it serious. Like I'm a teenager, I'm just kind of like having fun with it. And then my parents, they wanted me to like go to college and stuff like that. So the artistic dancer mindset wasn't as prominent for me because my parents wanted me to like go to college and stuff.
I can totally relate to this.
Yeah.
And so did you go to college?
I didn't.
You didn't?
But I did. I graduated high school. I graduated and kind of jumping forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Once I graduated, I remember asking myself, what do I want to do? Do I want to go to college? Like, is that something I really want to do? You know, because my parents were like, well, as long as whatever you do, like, you do good with it, be the greatest you can be, and you can make money from it. So I was blessed to be able to have parents that supported that. You know,
that is
they
amazing.
weren't pressuring me like, you need to go to college. They wanted me to, and they would be like, so what college you thinking about?
Sure.
But my whole family, they're like musicians, so they also kind of knew like, okay, that might be an option, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then how did you start finding mentors in the street dance community? What was your first foundation? Was it hip hop? Was it?
So I actually started when I really got into the street dance community. I started off with robot.
Okay.
That was my first like real style like doing. And I always say this story, and I'll just kind of summarize it. But me and my dad, we went to watch Step Up 3. So I've already seen all the other Step Ups, and I was like, yo, like these dancers are so crazy. Like, you know, Moose going crazy, like in the rain. And I was like, this is crazy. And, but then Step Up 3 came out. We went to the midnight release because my dad was like, oh, you want to see this? This looks crazy. I was like, yeah, of course. And it was in 3D. Like, what, like, I'm a teen. Like, how much better can it get? You know, it's 3D midnight. I get to stay up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we went, and my mind was blown. I was like, I want to give people the feeling that I saw in that movie, that feeling that I felt when I was watching it. Because, you know, you had, like, Twitch was in there, which is also, like, one of my favorite dancers ever, and also an amazing person, like mentor. And I have a whole story about him, just like how amazing that dude is. And then Mad Chad, you know, he came out in his windbreaker. He had like the purple windbreaker on, came out with the glasses, and like, you know, he did his isolation, and everybody went crazy. But it was that moment of like, everybody kind of stopped when he came out, you know, and like they were like presenting him basically like, this is our specialty, like this is our secret weapon, you know. So he came out, and that kind of like solidified that battle.
So I don't want to let this go. You mentioned Twitch and that you have a story, and I'd like to hear it if you don't mind, because because it's you know, he is a legend and you've obviously got some connection to him. Well, I just want to say, I knew who he was when he passed away, but it blew my mind how many dancers started posting, like not just, oh, I love Twitch, but like pictures with him. Like that guy obviously took the time to take a picture with them. You know, some of them were on set, some of them had relationships, some of them just met him, and, you know, he could have blown him off or whatever, but I was blown away by the impact that guy made on, you know, personal impact. You know, there's a lot, I looked up to so-and-so, but like so many people touched that guy.
Right.
So what's your story with Twitch? What's the story?
Yeah, of course, you know, I've seen him in movies and everything like that, like on TV and stuff. And also, just to put it out there, I'm not necessarily the type of person that's like a starstruck type of person. I just kind of look at everybody like, you know, I understand that we all have like experiences in things, and we all are able to really, really just like resonate with certain artists more than others, you know. And, you know, I think with Twitch, I think the biggest thing at first was like he was like a mentor in the community that was like black, but also he was able to like reach such a height that a lot of people weren't able to reach from the street dance world and the choreography world, and merging that and then just becoming like the best version, you know, of himself. And it was amazing to have somebody that was of color to really, really see as somebody I can look up to, and like as a mentor, and like but yeah, to go into the story, like basically this was during the pandemic when I moved to LA. Twitch apparently like seen my videos somehow. I don't know how he seen my videos, but he like I saw
by your
videos.
Like, you mean videos that you had made yourself and posted?
Yeah, on Instagram.
Okay.
So I remember there was this one video, and I think it was just it was a video that was very like culturally like appropriate for the time, you know, because Black Lives Matter and stuff was going on, and I think he was also feeling that just from the stuff I saw him post too. And I think he like really resonated with how I was posting certain videos and just kind of expressing myself in that crazy pandemic, you know. But he followed me, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. And then he shared my video, and then he messaged me. And I was like, what? Like, you know, just...
And you had just moved here, right?
Yeah, I just moved here, and I was like, this is really dope, because I did just move here.
That's a good
and like
story.
Yeah, it was really dope. And so he, back and forth, we were just like kind of like conversating a little bit. It was like little things, you know. He would be like, yo, this video's dope, or like, you know, I'd be like, oh, thank you so much. And he would say it again, you know, like, oh, this video is dope, like, I love your style, like, love the details, stuff like that. And then one day he saw that I was teaching animation, and a lot of people know this. He saw that I was teaching animation, and he...
Like at a studio, or...
Like, because at the time, like, during the pandemic, we couldn't really do in-person stuff, you know? But I was doing online private classes. So he messaged me, and he was like, hey, like, I really want to learn animation. So he was like, he sent me the flyer that I posted. He was like, can we train? And I was like, of course, like, of course yes, we can train. That's amazing. So he paid me for 4 classes, like a month's worth of classes. Never took the classes. You know, he's a busy guy.
Right.
But he paid for the classes and was like, yeah, we'll schedule it when I have time. It's like busy right now, but we'll like find the time. We never got to do the classes, but I will always like still have those little things back and forth messaging. And then he asked me to be a part of, so I believe, don't quote me, but I believe he was...
Oh, you're quoting yourself.
I believe he was co-owning a studio with Teddy Forrence, the CLI Studios. I believe that was the situation. And he asked me to come to the studio and do basically like a live cypher for 30 minutes. And you could look it up on YouTube.
You mean to lead it or to...
No, just like be a part of it.
Okay.
So the people that were part of it, it was me, Breeze Lee, Fiction, Twitch, Omarion, and Rock Swift was the DJ. And you can find this video. Like,
well, I will, because I've been doing this. I've been linking stuff as it comes up.
Yeah.
So within the, especially on YouTube, you can. Yeah. So I will look this up and link out to it for sure.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Wow. So, you know, I think this says a lot about you. Like, because I've lived in Southern California and LA for my whole life, one of my things that I think I've learned by just being here and not being so in awe of some of this stuff is that the people who are always talking about, oh, I'm working with so-and-so, I'm doing this. Like, you meet people on the bus who will tell you this shit, right? And you're just, they're almost always lying or heavily exaggerating. Whereas the people who, like this story, you've never told me this story. You and I have had a lot of conversations over time, right? During photo shoots and all kinds of stuff, right? So I think it says a lot about you that, and it reinforces what you said earlier, that you're not a star fucker.
Yeah.
That like, I had you'd never told me anything. That's a great story.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
So your style, your animation style, let's get into that a minute. Like Twitch wanted to learn it from you and invited you to represent it in a live video. He could have picked anybody. He picked you. So I know. Well, let's clear this up especially for people who are listening or watching this that don't know what animation is.
Yeah.
How would you describe the animation dance style? I know this is a fraught subject because I've been involved in conversations like this just as a listener.
I know, right?
But don't feel like you're like making the definitive. But just what is it for you? What is animation?
So for me, I look at animation as a lot of different things. I personally don't put it to one definition when it comes to a style.
So are you saying that you can take any style and animate it? Is that what you're saying?
So what I'm saying is I see animation as you being able to create illusionary movement to music, but to create illusionary movement, there has to be a lot of different moving parts that goes into that.
Yeah.
So character, timing manipulation, storytelling, muscle control. And then, you can start going into certain techniques that animation really involves, like the stop motion techniques that we use, like the dime stop. Everybody talks about the dime stop. There's so many different aspects of animation, I think, that makes animation the style.
When did this? So you started with robot, which by the time you started was a very well developed style. Mm-hmm. When did animation come into the vocabulary? Do you know?
Yes. So there was this time. So I used to train in animation at first.
With who?
So when I was in Florida, I used to practice at University of South Florida. There was a space there. Nice. There was a space there that dancers could just go and just practice.
Oh, that's great.
It was amazing. So everybody, it was like a spot that was like, if you know, you know.
Okay.
Like, this is a spot you go to train. So I knew. And
I like that.
So I knew, and my crew from Florida, Reality DC, shout out to them. So originally that crew was me, Tyler, and our friend from Florida, DJ.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
shout out to Tyler, by the way.
Yeah, shout out Tyler. Shout out DJ.
And DJ,
too.
I don't know DJ, but
so we really like started to bring people into the crew. And that's when we started to almost like really practice as a crew. We started pulling people in, then we started training at University of South Florida, and that was our meetup spot. That was where all of the crew would train.
Every week, every day?
Almost like I would train every day with maybe like one or two of the members.
Okay.
Because at a certain point, we got up to like 8 crew members.
Okay.
A few of us would practice like together consistently.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it was like every week it would be some people, because everybody didn't live right there. I lived right across from the college, so it was a lot easier for me to go there. But So one of my friends, he's from Vietnam. His name is Quan. He's AKA Sin Boogie. So he's a waver.
Okay.
One of the best wavers. Like, and not being biased, like if he comes here, he would be winning a lot of waving stuff for sure. And an amazing popper and just dancer in general, but waving was specifically his like specialty.
And then you guys started to
we trained together, yeah. So we trained together, and I was already doing robot, and like I would look on YouTube, I would kind of find like animation videos, I would see like bopping videos, like Bop and Andre, of course. You know, he had a tutorial on there that I was like, oh, this is dope. Like, this is like a style I don't really see like that. So he literally has a tutorial on there, and you can go watch it now.
Was he calling it animation, or was he, because he's usually very like, this is bopping?
Well, he was saying it was a bopping tutorial.
Yeah.
It was a bopping tutorial. So it wasn't specifically animation, but yeah, I can tell it was like a mixture of animated movement and popping, you know? So I was like, oh, this is dope. Like, it looked super old school style, but it was like, it still had that unrealness, and they were dancing, you know? Like,
yes,
it wasn't just straight robot, like,
right,
super non-human uncanniness. It was very mixture of both.
It's musical, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, going back to the USF, like that was the spot we would train, and there was a time we would just train different styles. So we would do like, okay, today we're gonna focus on animation, but at the time we didn't even have an idea really what animation was. We just kind of went based off of what we saw online.
But who were the prominent, like, who was calling themselves animators at that time? Right? Because like this is still a pretty new style.
Mega Man for sure.
Okay.
Mega Man was like a big influence in that time on animation because he was like teaching it. So, and actually Quan went to take a class from Mega Man, and I think it was in France. So Quan came back and was telling me all about it, and I was like, interesting. So this is a whole style, really. Like, there's like foundations, there's like certain techniques involved, there's certain like movements that are really accepted in the style. And also robot was, at that time, it was like really considered to like be a strong character in the style.
Yeah.
So he kind of helped me with that knowledge. You know, he kind of helped bring that knowledge to me. So shout out to Quan, because he really...
So could you like really, like without even getting up, is there any kind of movement you could do sitting down that would illustrate the difference between, okay, here's just doing the robot, and here's that same movement that's animation? Is that a reasonable request?
Even if I just use my arms,
okay,
right? If I use my arm like a robot...
Careful of that. If you hit that, it'll make a noise.
Okay. So if I do robot, I'm supposed to be imitating a human, but certain robots can't move like humans depending on the upgrade. So if I'm doing more like a android,
okay. I like the thumbs. That was tight.
So that's more like the robot aesthetic, because we have limits as robots. That's crazy that I said we have limits.
No, but that's what I think people don't like. It took me a while to understand this. Yeah. This idea that it was kind of Yaya who I heard her talking about this. Like,
yeah.
Oh, where no, it's not just imitating a robot.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're standing on Hollywood Boulevard and maybe collecting change for scaring people,
right?
But if you're dancing, the idea is that you are a robot trying to become human.
Exactly.
So you have to go into that mindset of me, right? So no, that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so now take that and animate it.
So to animate, if I were to do the same exact movement, but to animate it, I would add stop motion techniques. So this is based on the stop motion film techniques. So I just
Like
want
Andre
to
always
be
talks
clear
about.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would like. So it's more, it looks more like pictures, like I'm creating pictures versus the robot. It's very still, a lot smoother.
Yes, none of
a
that.
lot smoother. You want to try not to have the shakes as much, depending on the type of robot. So really, it just depends on what type of robots you want to get into, as you know, as a animator per se.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
That thank you for that, because that's yeah, it's easier to demonstrate than to like just talk.
But
about.
it's interesting though, because that's not the only like limit to what animation can be, and that's
Right.
why the style is so confusing to people sometimes, because they're like, well, I don't have to do stop motion to animate. You know, you have people like Animated J, for example. Animated J, he's not necessarily the type of person that's just going to do stop motion the whole time.
Very much not. Yeah.
But you can't say he doesn't look like animated.
Right. Are you a gamer?
I am a gamer. Yeah.
So it's funny, when I first started photographing dancers, I was meeting people and getting their names in, because I'm not a gamer.
Yeah.
I didn't even understand that like a lot of these dancer names were pulled from anime and pulled from video games, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, so this animation has become super, super popular in a way that it was not when you started doing it. And I've got to believe that video games have a lot to do with this.
With the animation?
With animation, like, so what I'm wondering is, well, first of all, is that the case?
It depends.
It depends. Do you personally find yourself using gaming as a template for certain movements, or for like, oh, I want to try to do that, or I want to give this feeling that I saw in this character from this game? Is that a thing?
I think video games would be more of an inspiration when it comes to NPC.
Okay, and you wouldn't put that as a subset of animation?
No, it's a part. It's a part of
okay,
animation,
okay.
But the main inspiration isn't from video games for me specifically.
No, I'm just talking about as not like, I don't mean like direct connection. I mean more like, because you and so many of your generation have that environment of gaming as just a part of the cultural landscape.
Yeah.
That it seeps in, right? Like, I know for sure I have seen dancers do certain moves, not NPC moves, that are like from games,
right?
And that it took me like, why is everybody cracking up? Like, oh,
that's like a reference,
a gaming reference, right?
Yeah, but no, that is true. Like, a lot of animators do base, kind of their movement off of like video games or like anime.
Yeah.
I personally always base my animation more on film, and like maybe more like film, sometimes video games, depending on what type of video game.
Okay.
But mostly like movies, TV shows.
And so this is the character part of what, and I think that when I was talking right at the start about when I came home and I looked at my pictures, and I was like, oh, this guy's different. It's really your eyes. And it's good that I thought it was good that you kept people, from seeing the full. So when you were demonstrating the animation earlier, like, if you were to come out and see Robozilla perform in person, a huge part of what you do is your eyes.
Yeah.
Which I don't see a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's going to do it. I didn't mean to be, okay. Yeah, right. So the eyes are part of the dance.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. By the way, I wasn't trying to get.
I know.
I was
I
going
know.
to say, hey, come on. But yeah, that's always a huge part of your thing, and I think
Yeah.
it's amazing, and it takes a certain bizarre kind of muscle control that I'm sure you put a lot of work into, which leads me to the character element, right? Which is like, this is why people like you as a dancer. I know this, right? Because your character is so strong. So when did you know, you're at USF, you're training, you start getting into animation. When did you really start to embrace this character notion?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because before I was just kind of like imitating other people.
Which is what you described.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
But at some point you're like, okay.
Yeah. So 2014.
Okay.
I went to the movies again. It's always it's always the movies. That's where that's my biggest inspirations right there. It's just this fantasy world, but it's also like it doesn't feel fantasy. It feels real. That's why we go to the movies, because it feels so much more real when we go. And that's why even they create 3D, because it's like it's real, it's coming at us. It's like, so I went to watch Godzilla.
The remake one, right?
The remake.
The one they in 2014.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a specific scene where Godzilla was not shown the whole first part of the movie.
I love that.
Which was amazing. That was super dope.
When you can't see the monster, it's always scarier.
Right.
Yeah.
But they would show the more villainous monsters. So you would see those and you'd be like, oh, these look crazy, but you're just like, where's Godzilla? So he of course people need saving, monsters destroying the city, right. Destroying everything.
People definitely.
So they're like, who's gonna help? But there's a part where Godzilla, he just there's everybody's at the airport and they just do this wide shot of the window at the airport, and you just see everybody in the airport, and there's planes outside, and you just see his footstep, boom, and they don't even show his face or anything, just his footstep, and everybody stops. That same thing. It was the same feeling that I got when I was watching Step Up, but now this was in a fantasy world. It was
step on.
Yeah, right.
Step down.
Right. So they panned the camera up to Godzilla. There was the clouds above his head, the smoke and the fire. And in that moment, I remember I was searching for some sort of name, some sort of character that I can go by in the dance world.
Right.
And after the movie, I was like, I think that's it. Because I resonated with that feeling of seeing how big this character was, and I feel like that everywhere. I feel like people stop and they just look at me and they almost. It's not I'm scared of you. It's more of just a little intimidated, But of course, when you meet me, I'm such a nice person. But
you are. I will vouch.
Yeah.
It's not just him saying it.
But yeah, I resonated with that scene so much, and I felt like that was it's almost like a calling.
And then how did you turn that right? So then you started developing that character, and it seems like you. I've asked other dancers about this, where the character is more in the moment, but you've been crafting this character, this one. Not that it's a one-dimensional character, but this character in all of its dimensions for a long time. How did you keep dance? It would be very easy to do robot or to even blow that up into Robozilla and not be dancing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're an excellent dancer, right? Otherwise, this wouldn't make sense. Right? Well, yeah. I think that's something that being around these different dance forms, you come to realize that some people can do a lot of great movements, but they're not dancers, right?
Dancing with it.
So how did you keep the dance in it? How did you study other styles, like whether they're hip hop or ballet or whatever?
So in Florida, I believe that the dancers there and the environment almost naturally integrated with what I was doing, because everybody there was doing hip hop, light feet. You know, Tampa is like known for its breaking scene.
So by the time you're in, yes, this Hans talked about this.
Yeah.
About the breaking scene. Like he said, if you go to Thesis, you will definitely.
Yeah.
So your crew, at this point, you're in high school and you're going to jams, I guess, by this time. So you're seeing more of the full picture of what's going on. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that seeing people like Floridians and even just in my city of St. Petersburg, everybody was just being creative, but also dancing with it.
Yeah.
Like they weren't afraid to just like throw the weirdest shit, but dance with it. And you just be like, wow, like that was the first time I seen light feet was in my city. Not in New York, not in anywhere else, my city, because they saw how New York was doing light feet and they would try to be creative with it. And now the light feet scene in Florida is like huge. Like everybody's learning light feet. I even learned light feet. And a lot of people don't know I've done a light feet battle before.
Really? How'd it go?
Made top 4.
Nice. See?
It was a rookie light feet battle. So a lot of people there, you know, they were like newer to the style, but I made it top 4 and it was in Florida.
Nice.
It was in Florida. So I was always the type of person, I just like to learn.
Yeah.
But only learn things that I liked, you know? Like I was like in school I was never really like I was like I don't want to learn this, you know, but I understood I had to learn things.
Okay.
And also just at my school when I was in high school and me and Tyler and a couple other dancers at the time created that crew.
Mm-hmm.
We would dance after school. Like our principal would let us dance, like have dance ciphers after school. Like he would be there just kind of monitoring it, but we would just be there after school for like hours.
Are you still in touch with that principal?
I'm not.
All right. Do you know if anybody is? Because like you guys have gone, well, you and Tyler for sure. And I don't, like I said, like all these Florida people, like he would probably be pretty happy to know that.
Right.
Like you guys are out here and thriving,
right,
and killing it.
Mr. Gordon, I think that was his name.
Shout out to Mr. Gordon.
Right. Right. Shout out Mr. Gordon.
Yeah.
And then, the next principal, she wasn't as
smart.
No, not smart. She was smart, but she just like.
There's kinds of intelligence.
You know, there's certain people that just, you know, they need order more. So she was just like, yeah, you're not gonna be dancing at the school no more. Maybe something happened.
You know,
I didn't know.
The thing about the dance community is like it orders itself if you let it do so, right? Which is that this principal understood. It's like, oh, I know where they are.
Right.
They're totally organized. They have their own code of go.
Yeah.
Right?
No, exactly. Yeah.
Right?
That's so true. That's so true.
So how do you train now? What's your, you know, like, do you train mostly with others or do you, like, do you have a regimen or is it kind of whatever you're feeling?
I train smarter. I had to become more organized as I started to get deeper into the world of like animation and also just street dance and just hip hop, you know. I had to get more organized in how I do things, especially if I'm going to perform at a higher level. I had to train at a higher level.
Do you train, like say you got a big battle coming up, do you train differently for that than you would for a music video shoot, for example?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah?
Just because, like, I've just started to dive more into, like, music videos and, you know, the more entertainment industry things. So I haven't 100% found my niche in that. I just try to go into these spaces completely myself.
Is it more about like staying in shape or is it more about focusing on character or is it more about something else?
It's more about I would compare my training to, because I watch a lot of combat sports. I would compare my training to how combat fighters train.
Okay.
For example, fitness, my cardio, make sure my cardio is good, and not just like my physical cardio, like just on the treadmill or running, like dance-wise, like my stamina, endurance, because you would be surprised how many people lose in a battle because their endurance isn't good.
No, I wouldn't be surprised, because I've seen this happen time and time again. And then I've also seen people win simply because they were in shape.
Right.
Like, they may not have been the better dancer, but by the
they're
time you
just in
got to the
shape.
finals, like,
Right.
oh, we got to have a third round. You're like, oh, yeah.
They're not getting tired.
Yeah.
There was this one time I went really, really hard on that. And this was, I think, like 2017, I believe. I had a 7 to smoke battle coming up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I have to win this.
So this is the competitive Robo. Okay.
There's certain
Because you don't project
things,
this. Like, I can't tell. When you come to a battle, you don't project a, like...
Yeah.
Some guys you can tell, or girls, some people, like, you can tell. They're like, I'm here to win this.
Right.
And I can't
which
tell with you.
I should do more, because sometimes it works against me.
I loved what Pop and John said at Unimate last year when he was teaching, and he talked about, I guess he's hyper competitive.
Yeah.
And he said he'd find out who was DJing, and he would go find all their SoundCloud mixes.
Oh, yeah.
And just drill them down, so he would like have a good chance of knowing what they were going to play.
That's the smarter.
That's hardcore.
That's the smarter right there.
Anyway, so you were saying though.
Yeah, I went really hard on the fitness and just like just learning new things and just training myself in certain styles, like more popping, waving, like popping styles in that realm. But I was in the gym twice a day, doing cardio twice a day, lifting weights, pull-ups. I was going in. And then training dance-wise twice a day. Mm-hmm. So when I did the battle, I battled one person, won that battle because it's 7 to smoke. Battled one person, won that battle. Battled the next person, lost. And I was like, shit. Then this next guy came up, won 6 in a row. I was the last one.
And for those that don't know, the first one with 7 wins.
Yeah.
So if you lose, you get back in line.
Right.
And if somebody doesn't win, you get another shot.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think he won 5. Sorry. He won 5. I battled him. Then I won. So now I have 2.
Yep.
Won the next one, won the next one, won the next one. Now I'm at 6. So I had a really good comeback because I was like, I'm not losing this. I trained my ass off.
Okay.
That was that competitiveness coming out. So I battle him again. He's tired. And I saw it. It's so crazy. You can see it.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not tired at all. And they're like breathing heavy. They're like, they're like on their legs, like slouched over. I saw it. I saw the weakness. And I won the battle.
What battle was that?
I can't remember. It was like, it was in Florida.
Okay.
It was in Florida. It was more like a local battle, but like really good dancers.
I love this how like, athletes are like this too.
Yeah.
Where they remember these things like,
yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you were getting more into the industry. What have you done recently in far as like music videos or industry stuff?
So I haven't really touched the industry that much since I've been here in LA, and I don't know why. I know my potential could be like really, really big in that industry. And I think I'm just now getting into that.
Okay.
And I'm starting to see what my direction is in there, what I like, what I don't like. But so far, like, I've done, last year I did the Snoop Dogg music video that I was
What
telling
track?
you about.
Do you remember the track name?
It's called Missionary.
Okay.
You can look it up on YouTube.
How did he find you?
So it was so Storm, she's a clown dancer and just amazing dancer. She was a part of like a bunch of Kendrick Lamar videos, like one of the main stars of the Kendrick, main dancers in the show. I mean in the video. But she put me on. I know her.
Nice.
Through like Crystal and Tyler. I know her through them. And then yeah, we met and she put me on to that. She messaged me one day and was just like, hey, like, they need some people to be a part of his music video, especially that looks fairly similar, you know. The locks, tall, black, you know. And I'm actually taller than Snoop Dogg.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm actually taller than him because I met him and everything. And yeah, I'm actually taller than him. But then the next thing I did was actually, I don't know if you've seen the Smile movie.
I have not.
So the Smile movie is like a horror film.
Sounds like a horror film.
Yeah, and it's like really fucking creepy.
So would you have like a, before the screening there'd be a performance kind of thing? Like,
no, it's like there's like a specific amount of screenings before they release it. And
right, but then what did you?
So I basically was one of the actors that worked for one of the private showings, one of the private parties they had. So it was like a red carpet vibe. They had some of the actors there, and me and like 5 or 6 other people were there to scare everybody. It was really dope. No, it was so dope. And you know I'm gonna take that so serious.
Did you like wear makeup or were you just you?
No, because Smile is the vibe of this specific Smile because it was the second one.
Yeah.
Already saw the craziest part is that I saw the first one and I was like, yo, I did a character of that and everything in a battle. Mm-hmm. You can also look that up. I did a character of the Smile movie in a battle. So then when I got asked to be a part of the actual movie showing, I was like, I'm gonna ace this. I'm gonna be the best one that's gonna do this. So I actually was, because a lot of the people, you know, were like, this guy is like the creepiest one. Like, we have to do this specific smile that they do in the movie.
And then you got your eyes, you had glasses off, right?
Glasses off and everything. But the craziest part was that we couldn't talk to anyone. We had to just scare them.
Nothing scarier than that.
So the smile character, like, basically you're supposed to do the smile, just stare at somebody, make them as uncomfortable as possible. You can get as close to them as possible, but then you walk away like nothing happened. So it was the creepiest thing, but it was really dope. And then I don't know if you've seen Gladiator.
I've seen Gladiator.
I was a part of the screening for the second one that just came out.
Oh, this is fun. I didn't even know this stuff existed.
Yeah, like Gladiator 2.
No, not the movies. That
like the screenings.
That you would get hired to scare people or to gladiate them or whatever you know.
So the Gladiator one, I had to put on a whole Gladiator outfit, and it was me and like 20 other guys. Oh, yeah, I know, it was crazy. And we had to stand on these stairs. And like, this is the stuff I'm doing when we are not seeing each other. I'm doing all of this stuff, which is crazy. But like, when I'm talking about it, I'm like, dang, this is really wild.
Wait, weren't you in another? Something else is coming out soon. No, was that it? Maybe that was it.
I think that was
a Snoop video. I thought there was
the Bad Bunny.
Oh yeah,
I Heart Music Awards. That's coming up soon.
So they already. That's coming. You already filmed it.
We didn't film it yet.
You didn't film it yet.
It's gonna be live.
So you're live on stage with his I Heart Music. Oh, that's
all the celebrities. I seen the. Well, I can't really.
Are you dancing as you, or are they asking you to do a different style?
It's like the vibe of it. We're just like in a club type vibe. So like it's fairly easy, you know.
Yeah.
But I can't say too much about it right now. But yeah, no, it's really dope.
That's nice.
Yeah. And
yeah,
also
well-
Bad Bunny can sing. He really can sing
Yes.
in person.
I
Yeah.
know. I think it's funny. A lot of people. It's really easy to dismiss a lot of pop stars.
Right.
Right. Because they're, especially these days, because the image is so it's paramount.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, if you ever get it, just like, oh yeah, there's a reason. Right?
No, exactly.
He's just he's just party guy, right? But no,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, he was on the mic and everything. I was like, oh, he can really sing.
That doesn't surprise me.
So
at
he's
all.
good. He's good.
Well, good luck with all that, man. It's cool that you're getting into that.
Thank you.
And that you're enjoying it and not being treated like, there's a lot of bad stories too, right? Oh, I got this job and.
Of course, yeah. I could talk about bad stories, but like yeah,
But
it's
I
like
mean,
why.
But no, but it's good that like now this stuff's happening for you. That's good.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. I just honestly, since I've been here, like I learned so much about myself, and I feel like I really became more of a man since I've been here. I really feel like I started to come into my own because like when I was in Florida, like I had to help take care of my brothers, stay with my mom.
How many brothers you have?
3 brothers.
3 brothers?
Yeah, 2 sisters.
Oh, there's 6 of you. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Are they all still in Florida?
One of my brothers lives with me right now, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's fairly. He's been here like a year. Yeah.
Cool.
So he lives with me. And then my other brothers live in Florida, and my sisters live in Florida. One of my sisters, she's about to go to the Air Force. And yeah. Also, fun fact, I used to want to be a firefighter and be in the Air Force.
At the same time?
Yeah. Double.
Is your sister a pilot? Or is that unknown?
I'm not completely sure. I have to really, I don't talk to her like every day.
Right.
But I just remember her telling me she was going to the Air Force. Yeah. So.
I didn't know you were one of 6. That's a big family.
Yeah. But it's like, we're all like separate, like from separate.
Different groups of parents.
Yeah. So we're all not really close like that. Super close. Like me and my brother we're pretty. No, we're close. Yeah. We were close, and also, as you get older, like relationships change because you're moving and stuff like that. But ultimately, I really wish I could like just move all my family with me. That's my ultimate goal. Is to like just be able to just take care of my mom.
Yeah.
And like take care of my family, really. Like whenever I go back to Florida, like I'm always telling my family, like if y'all need anything, just let me know, because it's cheaper out there too. Like it's cheaper in Florida. So like the money I make here, the minimum wage is different in Florida. So like when I go out there, it's like I have slightly more money than when I am here. Here I'm like, it just feels like money just goes, No matter how much money you have, it just goes, because everything's so expensive with tax and everything. But yeah.
Cool. Is there anything you'd like to highlight that's coming up, or?
No, but I would like to say, who's ever watching this, just don't stop. It's really, really possible. Like, I'm a true believer. I didn't really talk about some of the bad things that's happened in my life, when it comes to, because I grew up in the hood. So like, I didn't really talk about those things, but I've been homeless before. I've, just living in a car with my mom. Like, I don't need to go too deep into that, but just growing up in the hood where my neighbor has gotten killed, and like,
how did you stay out of, like, how did you keep your head up, I guess is the best way to put it, right? I mean, how long did you live in a car with your mom? How long did that go on for?
Probably like a month or two. I was young, so like, I don't remember it too much, but I remember it happened. And she even brings it up sometimes. She's like, yeah, you know, like, it happened.
How did you, do you have any idea how you kept your head up and like didn't end up in, you know, gang culture, or how did, you know, because you hear a lot of stories where people are like, I couldn't stay out of it, right? And then you seem to have not been drawn into the bad, the potential pitfalls of growing up in that environment.
It's really a mindset.
Was it like, did your parents give you that mindset? Do you think you just like had it for some reason? Like,
I think it's a mixture of like how you think as a child and a teenager, and also of how your parents treat you. It's a mixture of that, because, you know, like, it's the same thing as like if a dog is gonna bite somebody and that dog is acting out, it's because of the owner. It's the same thing. How our parents treat us is so important.
Well, and it sounds like you had parents who were present.
Yeah, so like my mom was very, very thoughtful and caring, you know, for her kids, no matter what happened. Like, she was just like, my kids are important.
Yeah.
You know, and my dad, he was also like that, but, you know, he had his things.
Was he around?
Yeah, he was around, but it was more of like, it was just one of those things of like, when parents split up, it gets tension. You know, there's tension. So it gets difficult. Yeah, it gets difficult. So I don't want to go too into detail with it. But
it seems like you're talking about your parents being a huge factor in this, like the fact that they, right? So regardless of their relationship, it sounds like he was a presence, right? Like,
yeah, like I would just describe it as like, I spent a lot of time with my mom, and I spent a fair amount of time with my dad. Not as much as my mom.
Sounds familiar.
But a fair,
it does.
A fair amount. So I love both of them to death. Like, would do anything for them. But I just feel like they really helped me just like stay on the right path.
Yeah.
That and my own doings, because there was definitely people in my life there's people that went to jail, people that have robbed stores, people that done the craziest shit, but here I am, you know, defying the odds, like, and if anybody would see like what I came from, like, it's really just like, it's crazy. Like, I think about it all the time. Like, there were times like I had to sleep on the floor. There were times like infestations of multiple things, like wooden house, like old wooden house, like drive-bys on the street. It's just like, it was a lot, you know. And I remember telling my mom, like, I can't live here. As a kid, I would tell my mom, like, I remember there was this one time I got really sick, and I knew it was like a spiritual thing. As a kid, I knew this. As a kid, I'm like, there's no way I'm just throwing up and I'm just like feeling so like heavy right now. Because I always was going to the doctor, getting checkups. It was a spiritual thing, and I couldn't take it as a kid.
When you say spiritual, does that include like just the way, you mean the way the environment was affecting your spirit,
exactly,
and causing you stress, and just like making you just kind of withdraw, maybe?
Yeah, and I was already a very observant kid. Like, I rarely ever cried. My mom used to say, like, I used to always point at things. Like, I never used to say I wanted that. I used to just be like, and she hated that. And she was like, boy, speak up, say something.
You're like, what if I animated?
Right. And it's funny because you can watch my videos. I like point when I animate sometimes.
Dude, I wasn't going to say it, but as soon as you said that, that's exactly what I thought.
I do. I point a lot. So, yeah. But, Yeah, you can really defy the odds, like, and it takes time. Sometimes it really takes time. You know, I'm still figuring out my life, and I don't think we ever fully just figure out our life.
No, nobody. I think no matter where you come from, like, yeah, if you think you figured it out, you're wrong.
Right.
Really. Like, you can figure certain things out and like learn how to navigate.
Right.
Like how to navigate. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you never know. You could hit rock bottom at any moment, and that's gonna change you. That's gonna change everything. Like, there's been times out here I've hit rock bottom, and I was just like, no. Like, also, I watch a lot of motivational videos. I watch a lot of videos of people that are doing better than me in my eyes, because that makes me want to reach more levels. Mm-hmm. So every time I've watched those motivational videos or podcasts or really influential people to me, like, those things are what got me out of rock bottom, because I would always hear in my head, like, nobody's gonna do it for you. You got to do it yourself, especially as a man in this world. I feel like people give us a lot of hard times with just us being men in the world, and like we have it so much better, but being realistic with everybody, like, there's a lot of things we don't have as easy of a time. And unfortunately, the world makes it to where, like, men, like, technically just kind of, like, run everything. And it sucks, you know. I get what women feel from that. But we do have very hard times. They don't think about those things we have to go through in our own time. And the world makes us feel like shit if we try to express that. You know, they just look at us as like we're supposed to be strong, you know? What if we can't be strong?
But then and it seems like to me that male-dominated culture keeps digging itself deeper. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's been some progress in this area, but like the fact that a lot of men keep wanting to embrace this idea of, oh, I have to be strong, and that I have to be not like by enforcing that idea and by maintaining this idea that you need to be stronger than women, you just keep yourself in the same place,
thing,
right? Don't you think?
Yeah.
Right? Because if you would just allow yourself to, I don't know, not be strong,
right,
and to like let a woman run things sometimes,
right,
like, and just be like, okay,
right. And I could also, you know, like I could be guilty of that sometimes. Like
we all are,
yeah,
because we grow up in this culture where
exactly.
But I think there are some of us who have seen that. I mean, probably look. I know. We come from very different places, but I also was raised by a single mom.
Yeah,
and I saw what that meant
in
terms of gender difference.
Yeah,
and I thought a lot of it was bullshit. Right, like not that it was my dad's fault or anything like that. It's just like these roles are often a trap.
Yeah.
Right, and then then we're encouraged to stay in the trap.
Right. No, exactly.
No, I want to be in the trap. And
exactly.
It's like,
and that's unfortunately that is what they made our lives.
Right.
But
we can change that.
We can change.
I used to get into arguments with my dad all the time about this because he was just from a very different place. You know, my dad was born in the 1920s.
Wow.
And enlisted in World War II, and he and I are very similar in a lot of ways. And I don't mean to say that he was like particularly conservative or anything like that, but he, you know, like I would often get mad at him I was like, the battle of the sexes is the most boring thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, men and women have way more in common than they do difference, right?
Exactly.
And he would just be like, no, you know, he was more attached to the gender roles. No, it wasn't a huge part of his life, but we definitely got in a lot of arguments about this because I was this young, earnest kid who was more looking at it because I had seen my mom be a single mom and that what this meant for her and the way society treated her, and I just was like, well, this could be you, right?
Right.
Like, but because she's a woman, it makes it worse. But he was kind of more into some of the assumptions about women, like, and their emotions and their roles and what they should do and what they shouldn't do. And I was like, we're the same mostly, like,
right.
And the difference is we could celebrate them, right?
Mm-hmm.
My point is that it's interesting to hear you say that. And I'm glad to hear you say that because I like that. I feel like younger generations are getting more of a clue about this.
Mm-hmm.
Although there is evidence of some backlash.
Yeah, there's backlash for sure.
But
and why?
I think that's bullshit.
You know why? You know why? I think?
No, I don't know why.
Because I personally think it's a spiritual thing. Like, if we really knew what was happening in our world, it all comes down to spirituality. Because the physical is here, yes. Our physical is here. But after this, then what? It's the spiritual. So all these emotions and how people are putting this like no, the man is the man, the woman is the woman. Mm-hmm. It's not about that. It's about you being able to balance yourself, the masculine and feminine. Like, we have to really like dive deep into that spirituality. And, not everybody's going to think like that, but I just believe if we look at it in a different way, a lot of these roles would be put more into a perspective that we can make more agreements on, and like, it'll just feel a lot better. Not saying that everything will be solved, but like,
no, it's like, dude, it's like dance sessions or dance battle. Like, not everything is perfect in those rooms,
right?
But people show up and are present, and it's mostly okay.
Exactly.
Right? And the spirit in the room is, most of the time things go haywire, but most of the time is very, very good.
Right. And that's why we can coexist in those spaces, because we're like artists. We're some of the most understanding people of like every aspect.
That's interesting you think that. I'm not sure. That would be another discussion. That'll be the next podcast. I'm not sure I agree with that, but it's nice that you're around artists who are.
Yeah.
Because I believe you and your experience, because I know you, and why would you say that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I agree with that in the larger sense.
Yeah.
But
which is okay,
You're like, following a good path,
Yeah. I try, but like I said, I'm not perfect either. There's I can say this, but also like there's things that I do that don't necessarily follow certain things that I talk about, and that's because of my upbringing. But I'm doing that internal work to really try to reverse a lot of those things.
Yeah.
But it's like at the end of the day, we're just taught everything we know. Like, we're just taught that. Our environments are the people we're around, and that's why I really truly do believe like who you're around and your environment makes who you are. Like, I didn't dress like this 5 years ago. Like, but now I'm wearing glasses, I'm wearing this. It's a part of our culture, but like, I wasn't dressing like this. I'm from Florida. We dress a lot more casual, not necessarily super chic or like futurism streetwear, like it's so many different types of things out here that you find out, and depending on where you live and who you're around, you start to resonate with that, and you match that energy. So
cool. You got anything else you want to say before we finish this up? No is fine. I just didn't want to. I don't want to cut you off or like.
I feel
You got any
like
questions for me?
I just want to say, like, he's helped me through so much since I've been here. Like, you are one of the most amazing gifts to this community. And I've always felt that.
I'm going to fucking start crying on camera here. Like, thank you
Always
so much.
felt that. So I just want to thank you. Like,
oh, man.
You know, even the fact that you were so willing to, like, just get to know me and, like, take photos. And, like, you didn't have to do that, you know? Like, so many people here, like, no, I'm going to charge you this. But you're so giving, you know? And, like, even the fact that, like, on the wall, you got pictures of artists. Like, I feel like you don't get the credit you deserve.
Oh.
Truly.
All in due time, man. I mean, I feel like it's kind of like this mutual energy exchange, and I get a lot back. Let's say spiritually, since we're talking about that, from yourself and others. That I don't feel like there's any debt in any way going on, but it's really. I appreciate you saying that. I don't know what else to say except thank you, and you know, the feeling's kind of mutual. And I'm so glad you moved to LA. Yeah. And I hope you stay here as long as you can. And thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
Let's get it.
Yeah.